Welcome to another episode of the Recon podcast with myself, Amandla. And today in the studio with me, I've got Damiaan, who is the CEO and co-founder of ATHLEET. He's going to obviously explain what it's about. And I think today's conversation is going to be informative. It's going to be entertaining. So let me just jump right into it with my guest in the studio. Do you want to introduce yourself then?
Yeah, thank you so much. So obviously I'm Damiaan, co-founder and CEO of ATHLEET. I've had a pretty long journey in entrepreneurship, culminating in what we're now doing with ATHLEET. Really excited to talk a bit more about it. And Did you want me to intro it now?
No, I mean just go for it.
Okay.
Let's go for it. What is ATHLEET? What's that?
So ATHLEET is a platform for team sports coaches and players, designed to give coaches visibility into player mindset and well-being, and give athletes a platform that gives them a voice.
Okay. Obviously, you mentioned that you've had experience with entrepreneurship, meaning you've done things in the past, business-wise. What is it that you've done in the past? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, so from an early age, I mean, my parents, both my mum and dad, were fairly entrepreneurial, which inspired me. I studied commerce in Australia at university, marketing and business. As soon as I finished university, I got into sales, which obviously gets the entrepreneurial juices flowing. And I think a sales background is a great place to start. And I've always had many ideas of little things that I can do. And it took me till I studied an MBA and really got in my teeth into business to get into it in terms of going from being an employee to founding my own business. And at that time, it was about 10 years ago, I founded a platform called Stomped It that was designed to give extreme sports athletes exposure and help them get sponsorship. And I learned a lot of lessons from that. It's unfortunate that it didn't progress, but I really learned a lot about building with the community, not just for it. So not building in a silo and listening to what your potential customers and your customers really want. Also tried to do it by myself, which was, at the time you want control and you think, I'm going to do this. I've got all these ideas. I need to take it here. But I think having other people challenge you and having a team that help you do things as you go and sort of bringing different skills and diversity to the table is a massive game changer in startups. So I applaud any solo founders out there that are making headway, but it's really hard.
What was your childhood like? I think you mentioned your parents were entrepreneurs. So what was the house like? What were you seeing around you?
So I mean, my first memory was my mum and dad's first business that was an innovative one at the time. It was they were both nurses and they built a nurse fractional nurse service, kind of booking nursing practitioners, and that was one of the first of its kind. And I remember their little side office on the side of the house. So your mum and dad would go to work and they popped around the balcony to the door in the office, and just seeing that, I guess, and them working so hard on that obviously sticks with you. And so I think and my dad as well was in, aside from being a nurse, was in sales and had built a surf shop and many other businesses that he did on the side, self-employed in other ways as well. So seeing him take on those challenges, I guess, as well, obviously just made me used to that. And I think, it sort of doesn't give you permission, but it gives you like the ability to understand that it's possible and that, yes, it might be hard, but it's there to be done.
What is your definition for commercial leadership? What does that mean?
Obviously you have to have commercial acumen, right? So you need to understand things that the levers you need to pull in business. But I think one of the biggest things, and I've seen it a lot with the startup community, is you get these founders that are really like all about the hustle, all about the grind and the ruthlessness, right? Like I think, obviously there are businesses that have made it with that approach, but I think leading from the heart and being human with the commercial acumen is what you really need to be a leader today. I think obviously in times it's going to be hard when you take that approach to have empathy, to have, to make sure that you're looking after and supporting your people that are with you on the journey. But I think it's really important to take that approach, and it comes back tenfold. So that I think, commercial leadership in that sense, I think obviously you need to have that understanding. And I think today, like I always say, I've done an MBA, but my last year and a half or 2 years in the current business that I'm in has been like a mini MBA. And I wouldn't swap them out, but I think it's insane the level of learning that you have when you take the startup journey, and anyone can do it. If you want to take that challenge on and soak it all up. There's so many resources, so many people willing to help. So you can get that commercial acumen, and I think you just have to have your leadership style needs to then reflect what you want to achieve in business.
Yeah. So in MBA, what made you want to go into MBA? Like
to do an MBA? I was employed in small businesses, so I started off with a sales role that I was actually selling chocolates, Nestle chocolates. And in London, actually, when I was 23. So I was running around the place selling Kit Kats and Roundtree fruit pastels, territory sales executive. So that was my first sort of big job after uni. And then I went back to Australia after that and worked in small businesses. So I became a bit of a jack of all trades. And I didn't really specialize in marketing or in HR or any other the sort of business disciplines, I guess, that you could call in a service business or in any kind of other business. And so I wanted to do an MBA to sort of cap that off and just make sure that my understanding of all those aspects of the business and how they fit together was there. So it was really a personal journey. I didn't do it at the best business school for the network or anything like that. It was more about just getting that level up for me. And actually I was living in the Netherlands at the time when I decided to do it, and I had an opportunity to go work in New York and Long Island for a horticulture business, or go back to Australia and do my MBA, and I took that route, and I am grateful for it. It was a big challenge. I did my MBA full time while working full time, which was a bit of a chaotic period of my life. But I think all that stuff, whatever doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, right?
That's right. So what made you want to say that? Okay, I'm gonna put my 20 years experience of business management on the side and get into full-time entrepreneurship, like obviously do the things that you're doing. What informed that decision?
It was kind of like a natural progression, and I think for anyone listening, you'll know when you know. I think it's it was a big leap, to be honest. It's a scary one.
It is.
And at the time, I just had my son. He's now 3.5, and we were like, we've been going since 2023 full time, but before that, we were doing it on the side, and so you start this, and it's kind of like, oh, do we really want to get rid of the safety net of a paid job or paid employment? And I think you get to the point where you go, guys, this is actually becoming something, or we can see that this is actually working. Let's do it, kind of thing. So I have two other co-founders. We've got a technical co-founder who's building our app, and I've got an ex rugby pro, ATHLEET, who used to play professional in Ospreys and Ealing Trailfinders and for Wales 7. So he's sort of got the lived experience in in what we're doing, and I think it was his idea to begin with. But I mean, we're onto our third pivot since we started, I guess, with the same sort of golden thread of our mission, but which I can talk about for sure. But I think getting into it was really like, you don't know what you don't know, so it's a big leap, but then you just have to take it. And so, like I said, we jumped into it, and now we've changed so much. We had this belief that it was going to be this amazing thing we'll jump in there, we'll get customers straight away, people will want to back us with investment straight away. None of that happened.
Doesn't work like that.
None of that happened. And like I said, we were completely different to what we were on day one, even with a built POC or proof of concept product. So I think you just got to take that leap and hope that it works out, I guess. You can plan a bit, but you got to see how it happens.
What made you decide to choose or select the co-founders that you've got? How did that come about?
Yeah, that's a good story. So obviously, with my previous experience in the sports tech startup that I had about 10 years ago, I had, and I'm a planner. I'm someone who likes to plan things out, write things down, get business plans, and do all this. And they always say in entrepreneurship, the best plan you'll end up throwing out the window. But I think there's something to be said for at least knowing where you might want to go, and then if you have to deviate from that, be agile. So I had so much documentation, which is another thing to learn, I guess, is that all of that can mean nothing. But I saw ATHLEET had my co-founder ATHLEET had a job ad on workinstartups.com, and at the time I was like, oh, just sort of interesting. What can I look for around? I already had a very good job. I was global head of partnerships at a B2B SaaS business, and things were going well. So I was like, oh, I just want to see what's out there, kind of thing. What would I do if I was to change jobs? And I saw this ad that he had for a co-founder. I'm like, oh, that looks really interesting. At the time, it was designed to be something about giving team sports athletes exposure, which was very similar to that the app that I founded 10 years ago. Yeah. I thought, oh, this is cool. So I reached out to him and said, hey, mate, I'm about to have a baby. I don't really want to be a co-founder, but happy to share my lessons, And then he had already met Sam, our technical co-founder, to help sort of start building a few, wireframes and bits and pieces to sort of prove some concepts. And he said, okay, let's just start having a monthly catch up just to see where things are at. And then it turned into a fortnightly catch up, and then a weekly catch up, and then
daily hour.
and then it was 2 nights a week. And then we were like, okay, guys, let's see where we get with this. And so we decided that we were going to do it. But at that point, we all still had day jobs, so we're doing it at nights and on weekends, probably for another year or so, maybe. And then we sort of from there just decided to go at it full time.
And how are you finding it?
Oh man, with the co-founder, I mean, it's obviously, like I said, my lessons earlier were always do something with the team, and we have a really great makeup of compatible skills. So like, ATHLEET obviously has the lived experience, but he knows the customers. He knows he was the customer. So he's got that real sort of empathy and understanding of how they tick and what they need. And that's also helping us from a product perspective. So he's sort of straddling those areas. Myself with commercial go-to-market side of things, and also leading the investment, the fundraising effort. And Sam with the technical, leadership as well. So he's got some great logos on his resume that, some really good experience, full stack developer. And he's built our app, what we've got today by himself, which is, a testament to his technical, leadership and understanding. So, I think those guys, we've got, like I said, complementary skills. And I think that's important if you can do it when you're starting out, to try and find people that match what you're doing and complementary. There are some things with myself and ATHLEET where we sort of cross over, but I think that's also great because we each bring a different perspective. I've done formal B2B sales before, so I can bring a sales process, and ATHLEET's got the name and the rugby photo on his LinkedIn profile that he can definitely get doors open for us, right? So that's been really great, and I think a really good team.
Is there a reason why you're always into sports? Like, is there a particular reason for that?
I think you just naturally gravitate to what you're passionate about and what you love. And like we were talking about before the podcast, is all sorts of sports. I've been surfing, motorbike riding, skateboarding. We're here in the Red Bull studio. I'm a bit of an extreme sports nut. But I also love team sports, tennis and football, and we call it soccer in Australia. But so any sport that's on, we'll watch, and my wife's the same. So we're a sports family. We love it, and hopefully my son is as well when he grows up. So I think you just naturally gravitate towards that, and I think it's so much easier to turn up day to day, especially when the startup life is much of a roller coaster. It's there's big highs, there's big lows, and if during those lows you need something to be able to help you turn up. So if you're in a space that you're passionate about, then it's always easier.
We're gonna get into ATHLEET, but before that, what made you stop the other one? What made you feel like I can't continue this one any longer?
It seemed so. I got to a point. I had an app or a platform built, a web platform built. I'd spent some money. I spent a lot of time, and it just seemed like my priorities in life at the time were not quite there in terms of going all in on that, and it felt too hard. So I did have a good sort of number of conversations with people who were willing to support me in the US and anyway, like just randomly meeting on LinkedIn, and people just happy to have a Zoom conversation, But I also found that in the action and extreme sports community, because a big part of my concept at the time relied on pro athletes upvoting younger athletes that were coming through. And in the action extreme sports community, it wasn't such a big those athletes were not so much interested in doing that sort of stuff. It was just like wanted to go out and ply their trade or craft, whatever they were doing, and just have fun, and have fun doing that. So it was hard to get that going, and I probably just had one too many challenge that seemed insurmountable, and unfortunately I just ran out of steam. I guess.
Is there anything you would have changed?
Yeah, I think if I had been more serious about it at the time, I probably would have brought someone on that could have helped, someone who'd done it before. And they always say it's good to have an exited co-founder on your team, even if it's just someone who's co-founded before, not so much exited. But I think having someone to bounce stuff off and make it feel more real. I think as well, in my mind, I was probably only testing the waters, even though I'd spent money and, spent some time on it. It was kind of like, let's just see if it takes off. And you always expect it's going to just go, hockey stick straight away. And when that doesn't happen, you're sort of left going, oh, what can I do different? And if you've got no one to bounce it off on, or really unless you go out and find that, which at the time I probably just didn't have the drive to do, maybe. So it's probably just competing priorities in life, a few too many challenges that were just a bit hard to get over at the time, and by myself just seemed too hard. So it's for whatever reason it didn't work out, but I'm definitely applying those lessons today, and I'm grateful for them.
Do you think that idea is still viable today? Or
yeah, it probably is. I mean, if someone like Red Bull or someone did it,
they would take you on.
I think there's so many kids out there that are doing some amazing things in whatever they're passionate about. And I think Red Bull's onto it with a lot of the things that they do, to finding those kids. And I think there's probably with phones these days and video platforms and TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, it's much easier to find those kind of people. So it's probably what's happening anyway. But I think for sure there's probably something to it still.
What kind of CEO are you?
It's a good question, and I probably haven't had a chance to really test that. I mean, I've managed a team of sort of 10 people in a previous life, and obviously we got in the current business, being CEO doesn't really mean coming in with a big stick, and it's more about like keeping things level, keeping motivation high, making sure that we can sort of attack our goals or get the outcomes that we need, and keeping everyone on track. So I think at the moment it's the type of CEO you are. It's really about just making sure that I think you mentioned earlier, the commercial leadership piece. It's about making sure that we're moving forward deliberately with a plan that can be changed at any time, and just sticking to that. So to answer the question, I know there's a bit of a long-winded way around it, but to answer the question, I think the type of CEO you are changes over time, and the type of CEO you have to be changes over time. And I'll never profess to be the best CEO for our business always, right? Like I don't think that's possible. Maybe it is. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, from day one he was. So whether or not he's a good CEO now, who knows? But I think you have to change with the business. So right now, the type of CEO I am is just a great co-founder, and you have to be supportive of each other, and really rely on other people's skills, and make sure that that you can contribute the best you can. So
what made you go into ATHLEET? Why ATHLEET? Like what's the brain behind it? What's the idea behind it? So ATHLEET, my co-founder, going into professional rugby as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, was never as big as the other guys. So he sort of had to take a harder route to end up playing for his country. And what country was that?
Wales.
Oh, okay.
So he played for Wales Sevens, and so he never actually got into any of the academies that his peers did at the time. 13-year-old, 15-year-old, and ended up having to go via college to get what he needed out of it, and get noticed. And he was also lucky came from a rugby family, but I think he was borrowing his peers' development plans and from the academies, and saying, okay, how can I do this? Watching YouTube videos, and he also, with that came a lot of anxiety and pressure, and he wanted to succeed, but he wasn't where he wanted to be, and so he internalized a lot of his feelings, and didn't really felt like he could talk to his coach a lot of the times. I mean, he had when he was 15 or 17, maybe, he had a coach that was a policeman and a coach that was a plumber. These guys are doing something great for the community and want to be a coach of a team and try and bring these players along, but they don't necessarily have the soft skills to deal with that. So ATHLEET just felt like he didn't have a voice, and he was struggling and internalizing a lot. So he obviously eventually made it, and when he retired, he just really wanted to build something to make a difference in that space. So he felt like it was hard for him to get noticed, hard for him to have a voice, and so that's why the golden thread's always been the mission has always been to expose that there's more to players than what you see on the pitch.
Yeah.
So that's been our sort of our true north. And we started off trying to be, like I said, a bit of a showcase for players, almost like direct to consumer, all about the player, build a profile, like a LinkedIn, I guess, for players. And, and we realized that was quite tricky because it's direct to consumer. It needs a lot of marketing up front, but also, you have to have engagement and you have to have a lot more sort of daily active users, on the platform always. And that was a hard proposition. But also we were only then targeting 5% of athletes because they're the ones that want to make it. So we thought, how can we be something a bit more? And there was a conversation we had with an early mentor, and he sort of said, what about the other 95%? How can you be something for them? I'm like, oh yeah. So there was a light bulb moment there, and we're like, okay, if we can put something together that brings this athlete profile, show it to coaches and help the coaches understand what the player's really doing on and off the pitch, maybe they're going to have a better development plan for them, and we can maybe tailor something for them. And out of that, we ended up getting, because we had physical metrics, we had combine event metrics, speed, power, strength, agility, fitness, and we had the sort of the mindset stuff that we're now really focusing on, which I'll come to in a bit. But there was just sort of like let's just add this in, like a match day mindset journal. And we just found that coaches love that. And so the original idea behind putting coaches on was because, it's really hard to acquire a lot of athletes. But if we put coaches on, they're going to acquire 25 to 50 at once. Because they'll put all the players on.
Yeah, correct.
It's great. Then we can monetize both sides of that network. We can monetize coaches, we can monetize players and all their parents. And so, so we're like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And then what it ended up happening was that the coaches are saying, we love this qualitative data that we're getting to understand the player a bit more. And so we did a bunch of surveying, focus groups. We really went out deliberately to understand what the coaches wanted, because they're our first customer, and then secondary to that is the player, obviously, and we have to keep them coming back. So we really wanted to understand what the coaches wanted, and we landed on what we are today, and that's been since January. And so we've just looked at some figures. We've had about average 58% month-on-month user growth since January.
That's great.
To now, get some really good numbers on there. And now we're at the point where we need to monetize it a bit more. And we have some paying customers, and we've got some really good partnerships starting to come out, which we'll be announcing soon. So we're getting some amazing momentum. And I think in terms of product market fit, that's when that sort of stuff happens and it starts to become easier to open doors, and customers are giving amazing testimonials, when you don't even ask for them. That's when you're starting to build something that's going to work. So that's where we're currently at, and it's really exciting. And so all that to say it's been an interesting path, but that's the pathway has changed over time, but the golden thread's still there, and it's now, so the current version of Athlete really is designed to give coaches a really good understanding of what the players are thinking and feeling. And we're seeing that they're using it in two different ways. It's around obviously mental health red flags, understanding whether players are feeling down, what's the reason for a performance that's not sort of subpar, or are they beating themselves up for no reason, that kind of thing. Might need an arm around them. Maybe they're ready to go and you need to train them harder. Versus the other side of it, which is getting the players' read on the game from the front line of the game, and that's giving coaches a really good understanding of what they should plan for in the next fixture or match, and how they might train the athletes or the team as a whole. So it's been good.
So how do they collect the data for that?
It's kind of our secret sauce a little bit.
Oh.
So happy to explain it at a high level. It's been a journey to do this, but we've sort of landed on something that is getting really great engagement, and it's all player led. So a match is entered into the app, and after the match, an automatic survey goes out to the players of Match Day Mindset Journal. So it's kind of a survey, but it's a bit more than that. And we actually we're getting the players to also do some peer recognition. So it's about who they vote for MVP of the match, who they vote for the workhorse. And that is in itself creating cohesion in the team, engagement in the app, because they want to come back in and see who's won, did they get any votes. And that's been really cool, because like I said, the players are getting something out of it too. And so what we want to do, there's a whole, future which involves AI and a bunch of other stuff. But at the moment, it's getting some really good feedback and testimonials, like coaches saying, I would never get this information if I sat down with a player one-to-one and asked them the same question. And that's, the current generation, I guess, very happy to put things in a phone.
Why is that? Because if you sit down with somebody, you would think that the interpersonal relationship that is created will get them to be more open, right?
Yeah.
So what will make them be more open on the up than to, be open?
I think it's that one step removed, isn't it? It's like, I had a fascinating analogy by a guy that I met at another pitch event. He's another founder as well. And he said he used to be a film producer, and he said it was always so interesting when you watch the on set of the scary movies or the gory movies, and whenever there was a scary part, anyone who was in the set room, watching it, they would all look at it through the camera, and it doesn't seem as scary, or it doesn't seem as bad. And I think if you take that in today's sort of generation, that putting something in a phone, and while this might be a bit scary, especially to me as a new parent, like a fairly new parent, like my son's growing up in a world where kids are just so happy to put something into a phone, and that's scary because they don't know where it's going to go or what's going to be done with it. But I think we can make some good out of that. Obviously, we're capturing data that they would not necessarily give because maybe this generation doesn't necessarily know how to do that face to face, or they just feel more comfortable because that's what they've grown up with. Just texting and putting things online, etc. So we're capturing data that they're happy to put in there, and maybe it's that one step removed kind of process that from the real thing. And I think athletes typically, obviously, are not going to identify that they have an injury or something like that for fear of not being selected, right? So there's still that, obviously, and that's our challenge, is to get as much as we can out of the players. But it's kind of magic. We're seeing that it's all the players are happy to say. We had a box that was anonymous comments, so people can put anonymous comments in their journal to the coach, and half the time we see the players putting their initials at the end of the comment. So we ended up having to build a feature that was put personal comments to the coach because they really wanted the coach to see that they had a game IQ, for instance. So it's been a real voice for players. So that's been great.
So how do you determine the authenticity of what they are saying? So I can tell you anything on the phone. It doesn't have to be true. So how is athlete?
Yeah, I think that's down to the coach. So we just giving the coach a tool. They know their players ultimately, and they'll know the BS meter. So it is down to the coach, and we have plans obviously to make the data entry and capturing it all a lot easier. There's amazing stuff you can do with AI now, especially around the sentiment analysis of unstructured and structured data, which I think we can offer a lot of value to both coaches and players. So we're exploring that at the moment. And that's kind of where we're at. We're really excited to bring another layer of all that stuff to what we're doing, and that's ultimately what we need now, is more cash to get that going.
That's important. That's really important. So you mentioned mental health. Is really big in 2025. A lot of people go through things they don't even speak about. Players especially will go through a lot of things they will not speak about. What their relationship in their house, their relationship with their partners, like their daily lives, things like that. How are you capturing all that data, and how are you helping the players do better in their mental health?
I think I saw a stat. I think this is an elite athlete stat, but it's probably relevant for every athlete. Is over 50% of athletes have mental health issues, and that's only the ones that are declared. So it is something, and there's so much pressure. And I think even at a junior level as well, no matter what level you're playing at, there's pressure to perform, especially if you're not feeling like confident in your own self. So we've got these tools that are capturing data, and obviously I said there's a dashboard that a coach can see some stuff there. And with the analogy I used before, or not the analogy, but with ATHLEET having coaches that were policemen or a plumber, right? They're not equipped to understand all this and ingest it and go, that means this. So we can provide that sort of what does this mean scenario. But I think so. We're basing what we're doing around. There's a evidence-based framework called self-determination theory, and that's basically we're using that to give players an environment that gives them that builds competence, autonomy, and relatedness. That's what self-determination theory is about. So, helping them understand that give them confidence, to help them feel like they're part of a team. the cohesion piece, the relatedness, and to give them autonomy and a voice. That they can actually comment to the coach either as a personal comment or something that hasn't got their name attached to it. So that's what we're trying to achieve, and it is like an evidence-based framework that's scientifically sort of backed.
Okay, so with coaches or players who come on the platform and then they let you know that they've got mental health problems.
Yeah.
How is it being tackled? How is it how is it going to be helped?
So I guess first and foremost, we're not a clinical an app that's designed to be clinical in that space. There's going to be if someone wants help, right, there'll be a button. I need help now. I'm spiraling. Get me help. I think that's been something that we've discussed with our customer base. It's that this is something that we can do. Is like if there's someone that's really struggling, give them that ability to seek help, whether it's from the coach or someone external, and even simple things like having the contact details for a helpline or something in there. But like I said, it's our platform is designed to give visibility, so it's about. It's not always going to be about mental health red flags. We want to be able to give that as a thing that we do, but I think it's like you said, it's a huge hot topic at the moment. In the Bucks League, for instance, in the college league, here in the UK, there is a huge push for teams to understand, or clubs to show how they're dealing with player wellbeing. And I think we can definitely help with that. So
okay. Let's be more practical now.
Yeah.
I go on the App Store and I download your app. What is the user journey like?
Yeah.
From beginning to the end. What is that?
So right now, actually, we're still in closed beta, but it's a matter of weeks away where you as a coach could download the app, set up your club, and put as many teams as you want in there. You get a 14-day trial. There's a very basic subscription, initial subscription cost, £10 per month for the initial sort of 3 coaches.
And that's a revenue model, right?
Yeah, so that's it. So £10 per month gets you 3 coaches. It's £3 per extra coach after that. Okay. So it's very scalable and accessible to a club that may not have a huge amount of cash. And you can put as many teams as you want, and your sport is attached to your team. So you can have a rugby team, a cricket team, or a football team in there, and coaches attached to those teams. The coaches then tell the players, download the app and sign up to the team, and they have control over who joins the team. So they accept the player into the team, and from then on, it's just, okay, guys, let's add your fixtures in. The coach can prompt wellbeing updates, can push out the fixtures, push out automatically the match day journals. They start to see the data coming in. And so it's pretty simple.
So ultimately, the users are the coaches. They are the main target.
Yes, and right now, and then
teams as well.
We'll be also, as I mentioned earlier, monetizing the player side of it. I think that'll be a bit later once we get a bit more engagement sort of features around the players, and offering them more around this sort of mindfulness space to understand their journey as a player, and helping them and potentially their parents understand more about them, because we have got a lot of junior athletes on there. So there'll be a small subscription fee for players who want to tackle that and want to get involved with that, and be a bit better version of themselves in their sport, or even outside their sport. Like, we're getting kids that are journaling around, I've got exam pressure and things like that. So obviously journaling in any capacity is going to be great. And we're just giving them a tool to do it via sport. So.
If you had a 60 seconds elevator pitch of what athlete, what are you going to say? If you're in an elevator with, say, Elon Musk, and then you want to pitch this idea to him, what would you say to him?
Putting me on the spot now. I say ATHLEET is the first platform helping grassroots and amateur players and coaches get better visibility into player mindset, for the benefit of the player, the individual, and the team as a whole. Okay.
How's the funding space for you? Because I know obviously we're a software developing company as well, Recon Tech. And it's quite challenging getting funding for the ideas that you believe in. Sometimes people, these VCs they are sharks. Sometimes they just try to ask you questions that you feel like, okay, I need a lot of work to do, or maybe this person does not really understand what I'm trying to say. So, what is that feel like to you right now? What's the space looking like for you right now?
Man, we've been raising since our first iteration, right? And obviously we were very naive at that point, thinking. that we're going to get customers on day one. We're going to get someone's going to believe in our idea and throw money at us. And so that's a huge shock. Obviously, there's a bit of a slap in the face when you start down that path and you think, oh, I got SEIS Advanced Assurance. It's a no-brainer. UK investors are just going to save money on tax and just throw money at me. Pardon me. So, yeah, it's been a long journey. And so, like I said, since January, sort of early February, we've had this momentum. And I think so now we've sort of had to reset our funding round a few times. And we're right now doing it again. It's squarely in the pre-seed sort of space because we haven't got meaningful revenue yet. We've got revenue, but it's obviously not, a huge amount of monthly recurring revenue. And so we're doing a pre-seed raise. We are SEIS and EIS, and for the listeners, this is a tax scheme in the UK available so that investors can actually, when they invest in you, they can have tax benefits for investing, not only now but also without paying capital gains tax in the future. So it's a really great scheme that the UK government's put in place to help de-risk investments and also so it's designed to give you more companies a start and give investors tax breaks. So we've got that full allocation still there, and there's no shying away that in the current climate it's really tough, especially in the UK. It's a very risk-averse investment space. America's a different beast. Silicon Valley is a different beast, right? So we've naively again started down the VC path quite early on and realised that was not anywhere near where we wanted to be. So now we're really focusing on finding angel investors that are maybe from the sporting space, like ex-athletes or people like that who really understand our vision and want to and mission that I mentioned, and really want to be able to help us. So I think there's a whole play where ex-athletes want to get involved in business and try their hand at at being a part of a business, and that's their next chapter in their life, things like that. So that would be the ideal investor for us, a value-added angel investor who either wants to be involved in the business and help us move this forward, or is happy to have some kind of advisory capacity role.
So what percentage, obviously, what percentage are you willing to give to an investor, and what would that look like for them as well? Yeah,
cool. I mean, we're raising 500,000, so. £500,000, and we've set our pre-money valuation at 1.5 million, which is probably a little low in some eyes, probably too high in some eyes. It's kind of like you're never really going to know what your valuation is until you've actually got that lead investor and have a term sheet that after you've negotiated and they're all happy, and then the rest of the investors sort of file in behind that. So we're sort of, I guess it's an estimate at the moment. This is where we roughly want to be. Between 1.5 and 2 million pre-money is ideal. That means for 500K, we give away between 20 and 25% of the business. And you don't want to give more than 20 normally, or 25 at a pinch, because you want to, I guess the goal is 20% each round. But by Series A, you really want to have 51% control of the business. So that's just what we've learned as we've gone on the journey, and that's the goal. And then so the valuation, you work backwards from that, right? In a lot of cases, and then it's up to you to then get the traction to prove that valuation is what is worth investing against.
How many pitches have you done? How many pitches have you done?
Man. I've done so many and so many variations. Some of them are like 5-minute pitch with no slides, 1 minute pitch with one slide, 15-minute pitch with 12 slides. And you've got to be prepared for that, and it's such a daunting thing to stand up on a stage. And some of the pitches I've done, I've had a couple of 100 people, 5 people on Zoom, in a weird little cafe thing scenario. I think it's just you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's someone once said that if you're not out of your comfort zone, you're not growing. So I think there's a lot to be said for that as a founder. And I think pitching is one of those things. It's just like pulling teeth. You got to do it, and the more you do it, the better you get, and the better. And to be honest, the more you pitch, the more you understand your business, because and it's not always about getting investment on the day. So many pitches, like the one that we met at, I think I had 5 really good leads or contacts out of that from the crowd. And that was just other founders who said, oh, you should talk to this person, or I know this person. This is someone at Leicester Football Club or someone, whatever. You need to talk to these people. This is a great idea. So founders are way more happy to help than other founders as well. And the investors ask good questions, and it's important to listen to the questions that the other pitchers are getting as well, because it makes you think, how can I answer that for my business? And I think when you can answer all those questions confidently, then you got a good pitch.
Yeah.
So
how do your other co-founders, how do they feel about the whole project? I know they love it, but what are their thoughts if you go for a pitch and then you don't get the results that you're looking for? What is that conversation like after,
in the beginning, it was always, very hard. You're very sort of like despondent, right? It's like, we didn't get it. But I think so the first 5, maybe you realize that after that, you sort of think, oh, it's not going to happen from this.
Yeah.
It may happen. And we talked about it just before we started recording. You're always one conversation away from what
just
you need, right?
Conversation.
One conversation.
Yeah.
And so you just got to have as many. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the saying? You got to kiss a lot of frogs. And I think so. You get to the point where you're like, I'm resilient now.
Yeah.
A no just washes over me. Before, a no was a massive slap in the face, and it really got me down for days. And now it's like, no, okay, next one.
Yeah.
Who's next? Come on, come at me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is to be a founder. So
Yeah.
you got to build that resilience. And I don't think there's any way you can do that other than doing.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the journey.
Yeah. If you obviously, I know you guys are obviously looking for funding. If you receive £500,000 right now, what will be the breakdown of how ATHLEET takes you to the next level? What does that look like?
Great question. So typically, obviously, there's a spend on team and salaries, because we haven't had any money for a long time now, personally, which is another part of being a startup founder. You pay yourself a small amount just to sort of make sure that you can tick by and not scare any other investors. You're not going to pay yourself $100K each, unless you're Mark Zuckerberg.
Malibu or something.
Then there's a product component. We have an MVP, a minimum viable product that we've built, and it's functional, but it doesn't look amazing. The UX, the user experience, or the UI, so the user interface, is not amazing. It could definitely be improved. So we need to spend some money on making sure that is, engaging, getting people back in the app, easy to use, that no one's getting stuck, and also more features. Our roadmap is huge. There's one guy building it, so we have to hire developers. We have to hire people to help him in certain areas, and scalability as well. So with the next bit of spend, so let's say it's like 30 or 40% of product, 30% on team, and then 30% on marketing, with a little bit around operations. So that would be the sort of the short answer of the breakdown. So when I say marketing and sales, but it's going to become growth marketing, because we can't be doing direct sales to every coach out there. So it is B2B, but it's it's definitely not direct sales in terms of we have to reduce the cost of acquisition. So I talk for days about all the metrics, but so the marketing piece is designed to obviously scale it and get the network effect in action. So referral schemes and buy one month and give a gift a month to another coach and get them on and get their whole teams on, and then doing partnerships with associations, so you get all the teams on in a league or whatever, and so it scales quickly, right? And the tech needs to handle that. So we need to be able to build. The database needs to be able to cope with thousands of users coming on in a month, rather than just a couple of hundred kind of thing.
I think the next question will be, I'm going to read this thing out for you, and then let me know what your thoughts are. So the quote is, the most expensive part of achieving your dream is it comes with no guarantees. What are your thoughts on that quote?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is, absolutely. I think and the expensive part for me is that you do have to try so many things to make one stick. And I think, so for me, that means, and expensive doesn't necessarily just mean cash, right? It's time and effort, like so much time and effort. And, like I said, we're on our third iteration of ATHLEET. And the amount of times I've spent time, getting to know a potential investor and trying to reach out to them, and then going, dead end and then
Yeah,
going back and
yeah.
doing it again with another one.
Yeah.
So that's time and that's effort and that's, brain power when I only have so much in a day, especially as I've got a small kid that I'm sort of also, trying to bring up. So I think for me, that really resonates. It's about, it's expensive in so many ways. But that's just, again, it's funny we keep saying it's just part of being a founder.
Okay. The obviously I know that you guys have started this and it's taken off since January. What type of sports are you guys willing to, solidify?
Yeah,
this?
Good question. So we're obviously starting in rugby because ATHLEET's network is there, and that's our beachhead. When you look at it from a sales point of view, it's the easiest way for us to get started, prove the concept, and scale. Naturally, from that, we've also had inbound leads and people joining the platform in different sports. So football, hockey, netball, and rugby league are on there at the moment. Potentially cricket as well. And so there's actually, it's been really great because rugby is a winter sport and we really noticed a massive drop in our weekly active users as soon as the season finished, and we're like, no, what do we do, and also luckily we had multiple geographies. So we had South Africa, was a large portion of our users are down there. So that was great because it's opposite seasons there. That sort of smoothed things out a bit. But I think so the goal is obviously to get winter and summer sports, make sure that our user engagement is sort of smoothed out in that respect. Multiple geographies from day one, global from day one. And it can be relevant for any team sport as long as there's a coach and player relationship. I think at the moment it's more suited to where you have fixtures or games rather than sort of just like a meet, like a swimming meet or something like that. But it's still possible. Like an aquatics team could easily join. We've had universities talk to us about that. So I think the concept has been really well received across multiple sports, and we just got to figure out the nuances of each sport. And as you sign up, obviously, and add your sport, the things that happen in the app can be tailored based on that. The logic.
Have we got any competition out there at all?
In America, there's a good competitor that does do one of the only other ones that does match day mindset journals. But they also do. They have familiar with the term key performance indicators, KPIs. They have MPIs, mental performance indicators. So they're doing a very sort of 13 or something different mental performance indicators that are scientifically measured, and so it's very sort of like based on those things. We're a bit more fluid and giving the coach more power to sort of understand what the players are seeing and not so much focus just on mental performance. It's also what the players think of the game and how the coach can use that. So it's a bit different, I guess. And there are plenty of apps out there that are designed to give players an edge in terms of mindfulness, breath work, meditation, that sort of stuff, and well-being. So that's great because I think what we can do is connect with them and refer players who might need something more to them. So I don't think there's many we haven't found many that are doing what we're calling providing the visibility. Because I think it's not really been cracked yet in terms of how do you get a 15-year-old to consistently, add their data into an app. So I think we're sort of stumbling on that. It's a secret sauce in some ways because it's working at the moment. So we'll see. Hopefully we can continue.
Do you guys plan adding some sort of gamification or mindfulness in the app in the future at all? Yeah,
definitely. It's already a part of it, and little Easter eggs and things like that that can make things go a bit viral. And for sure, I think that has to be a big part of it, especially with the generation we're dealing with.
Have you got a plan on how to? Obviously, I know it goes through the coaches first, and then maybe they'll bring on their players. Is there any thoughts of getting to the players before it gets to the coach? Have you got any plan?
That was our first iteration. So that was, we had a couple of hundred players sign up and just build profiles, and kind of went nowhere because without the coach, saying guys or girls, get your results in or whatever, it was kind of hard to keep that engagement going. And maybe there is a model where it works. And I think personal journaling is definitely a space where we'll expand it to. And it is possible for a player to sign up to ATHLEET without a coach. There just isn't a huge amount of that they can get out of it in terms of value at this point. So I think it'll probably be you have to be a part of a team, which is why it's more a team sports app to get something out of it, and the coach player relationship is key.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe. I'll never say never.
Well,
We'll see where it leads.
when I believe in something, I go all in. I put almost everything that I can put in there to
Yep.
ensure that thing succeeds. Why do you believe in this project?
I think we've seen the path it's taken, and we believed in the mission from day one. And like I said, I think the important thing to know out of this or take out of this is that for us as well, it really is that we had a mission and we didn't get stuck on our first way of solving for that. And I think so you can 100% be all in on it, but just don't get blinded or blindsided by the fact that it may not be what you originally think is going to solve for the problem.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to hearing new ways of potentially doing it, listening to customers, listening to the market. And I think we've really found what we're passionate about taking forward now, and that's so you'll know, like I said earlier, you'll know the signs, and you'll be like way more excited about it. And I think that's, it's like, we're seeing people knock on our door and coaches referring other coaches and being like, you need to be on this. And it's like, that's amazing. And so, we're getting really excited by that stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, this conversation has been an interesting one. It's been a good one as well. But then obviously I want to get into probably the ending, get into the close of this podcast. If I meet you on the road as a founder, what is the first question that you expected me to ask you if you don't know me? Like, what type of conversations are you looking to have? Because some people want to just go straight to business. They don't want to talk about anything else. They just want to go straight to business. Others want to, have that interpersonal relationship. They want to know what you're doing, how your day has been. Like, what type of conversations are you looking forward to every single day when you step out? Is it just about the business or like?
I think it's about the journey.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Like knowing where people have come from helps frame everything.
Yeah.
And secondary to that, you can always, what you're doing now is kind of like, it makes sense then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to hear people's journeys. There's always a learning moment in there for sure. Yeah.
Are you going to be doing more pitches? Or you think...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm at a pitch event tonight, actually. I'm not actually pitching at it, but I'm hoping to do, find some investors in the room and do the sort of one-to-one pitches.
Yeah.
You're always, there's a saying in sales, always be selling.
Yeah.
As a founder, you'll always be pitching.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's been a great conversation today. I guess people know what Athlete is about now. Is it available on the App Store?
Absolutely.
And the Play Store?
Yeah. Both.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so
feel free to download.
Go on and then just let them find you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, athlete.app is our website. Athlete with a double E, so ATHLEET.app, and you'll find us in the app stores. If you're a coach, download it, set up your club and your teams. If you're a player, download it, tell your coach.
Is there anything that we've not touched that you want to mention, which is really important?
No, I think we've covered a fair bit, and I'd be really excited to have any conversations. If anyone hears this and it resonates, any part of it resonates, not necessarily my business, but my journey, really happy to connect on LinkedIn and have a chat. That's what it's all about.
What type of legacy are you building for your son?
Oh man, that's such a huge question.
Yeah.
I think I just want to make sure that there's a world where people understand themselves and not sort of just bogged down by what's in their phones, or what that we can still at some point in the future, people can be human and listen to other people, understand other people. And I think that's what we're doing with Athlete is definitely a big part of that. So another reason to be passionate about it. But I think it's we don't want to lose the way and I mean, let AI take over even.
What are your thoughts on AI taking over? Obviously,
no, I don't know. It's kind of a hard one to answer, but there's a lot of scaremongering, isn't there? Who knows if it actually will ever take over? But I think we're already seeing. There's a book, I can't remember the author, but it's about the useless class. Like we're just all using ChatGPT or any of the LLMs to write everything we need to write, and people are forgetting how to write. So that's a very small example of it. It's like, I think I just wanted to make sure that it's for my son specifically, that we can he can grow up in a world where it's not all about asking a computer what we think or what we should be doing or how do I feel, but people can actually have meaningful conversations around that.
So before we go, have you thought about launching the app like in America specifically
Yeah.
because of the market that it has.
Absolutely. I was in New York last week and had a couple of conversations around that. So, I think America is an amazing sporting nation. The structure that they have around their sporting system from high school through to college is amazing. And I think they're also always up for anything that can get them ahead. And they love being sold to.
100%.
So much easier to sell in America. I think America will be a good one. We just have to make sure we get the runs on the board. And I think that's an important lesson as well. Be patient as a founder. Like you don't want to launch too early in a space where it might just flop and then you've lost your first chance at it. But I think if we can prove the concept, get that scalability happening, and rugby is a good market, especially in America right now. There's a lot of positives happening around rugby. So if we prove it in rugby, go to America via that route, then absolutely, I think America is an exciting space for sport.
Okay, thank you very much for coming to the studios with us today. It's been a great conversation. I think we all know what the product is now. Athlete, get onto your phones. If you're a player, just let your coach know that this app is available, and then get onto it and download it. It's been a pleasure having you in the studio once again. This has been the Recon podcast, and my name is Amandla. This episode was brought to you by Recon Tech. If you want to develop a website, if you want to develop an app, get in contact with them. If you want to do marketing, SEOs, get in contact with them as well. It's also brought to you by IntelliJ AI, which is a large language model, just like ChatGPT. So if you check them out on the App Store and then the Play Store as well, you can find it over there. Thank you very much for coming to the studios with me today. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.